I wanted to be a filmmaker ever since I was 12 years old. I came of age when VCRs first came on the market, the consumer kind, so you can watch a movie in your home. I was 12 years old, and my father, this was a big deal on the Reserve where I grew up, my father would rent about 15 VHS movies every weekend, and that's all we would do. Is in the morning, me and my sister would watch all the cartoons. In the afternoon, we would watch the family movies, and at night, we would get kicked out, and my parents would watch the adult movies. Not that kind of adult, but older movies. And I just loved going into these different worlds and being, being a Mohawk girl, growing up in a reserve. My world was very confined. It was very small. And through movies, I started to learn about the world and explore emotions that, I didn't know about. And that really, I made movies throughout my adolescence. They were all horror movies. I had my neighborhood children killing each other. We had fake blood, we had clubs. We would show these movies to our parents, and our parents congratulated us, but they really should have been freaking out, because I watch those films now and it's children killing children. But they saw it as positive, and high school, every project I could do, I would make it into a film instead of an essay. I went to university for it, and when I got out of university, I, pursued the path on becoming a filmmaker. So it was just something I always knew I had to do. My film Club Native is a feature documentary that is probably closest to my heart. It's all my films I look at as my babies, and I think every filmmaker probably has the same relationship to their films. And Club Native, really was with me 24/7 while I was making it. It's about identity, it's about belonging, it's about blood quantum, and it takes place in my community and looks at sort of the modern Aboriginal experience and what it means today in Canada. Who is an Aboriginal, who isn't, who decides, what comes with that belonging. And personally, I believe that, we are in a dangerous place right now. We are really mixed up when it comes to this, which is why I really wanted to make this film to humanize this issue. I think that it's very easy to look at it just as a concept, but blood quantum and exclusionary tactics, these affect people every day, and it's painful. 4 of the main characters in the film are all dealing with the issue of identity and belonging in different ways. 2 Mohawk women had fallen in love with non-Native men, which is very discouraged from where I'm from, and 2 of the characters had parents who were mixed. So 1 parent was Mohawk and 1 parent was non-Native. So I looked at the experience of all these 4 people and how it affected their lives, and what it meant to them. And it all stems from this concept of blood quantum, which was instigated by the Canadian government in order to determine who is Native and who is not Native. As soon as you start defining who is a Native person and who isn't, you can start knocking people off that list. And I think the ultimate goal is to one day have us not exist at all, and so then they will not be responsible financially or socially for my people and for the deals that they made with us. I feel that looking at the existence of a people solely through this idea of blood purity is very, very dangerous, because it does not give any credence to what really makes a people and a culture special. Language, community, culture, history, these are all really, this is what makes a people. And right now, my own people are so focused on blood purity that we are not paying attention to the really important things. And my fear is that if we stay on this course, we're going to end up with pure Native people that know absolutely nothing about themselves, and that would be a real tragedy. So Club Native sort of takes a look at all of that in a feature doc. In terms of my inspiration and motivation, we have to go all the way back to when I was a child, 12 years old. I grew up feeling very invisible as a Native person, as a young girl. I felt invisible on my reserve. I felt invisible in the outside world. I felt like everybody was telling me what I was supposed to be and not letting me just discover who I was supposed to be. And in your adolescence, to be confined like that, it's already hard enough to be a teenager. But then to be told that this is all we expect of you, and it's not a lot to begin with at all. It made me really mad, and that anger, it could have taken me two ways. It could have taken me down a very bad path, which a lot of my people have gone down, where you get consumed by anger. I did go down that path for a while. I was suicidal as a teenager. I felt like there was no hope and no future for me. But then, thankfully, I sort of switched that around and said, why not? Why? Why are you saying that I am not capable of this? I'm going to show you that you're wrong. So I harnessed the anger and instead sort of set some goals and decided nobody was going to tell me who I am and what my life is going to be. And the more people told me being a filmmaker is impossible, the more I felt, the more it infused in me this determination to show them, no, you're wrong. Stereotypes suck. And lack of expectation sucks. We are just as capable and complex as any other culture, and somehow people don't see that. So I wanted to show people who we are, in each story that I tell. So that is my motivation and my inspiration. Yeah, I think I answered that question. And in terms of documentary, the reason I chose documentary, I fell in love with it in university. I was always a fiction girl. I told you I was making horror movies. I took a random documentary class in university, and just the power of truth and real life and real emotion. I mean, I was just floored by the films that I saw in that class, and the power that these stories could have on a viewer. Because, I mean, after every class, I was just like, wow, this really happened. And I was so amazed at these brave stories, and I thought, wow, there are so many stories within my own community that have never been shared. Filmmaking has been around for over 100 years, and Aboriginal people, we've just gotten into the game. We've just started telling our own stories. We are behind the 8 ball, so there's so much to tell that that's why documentary for me was the way to go, because my people have things to say. Currently, I have a bunch of projects happening. Fiction-wise, I have, a new sort of big project. It's another one of my babies. It's called Mohawk Girls. I have a documentary with the same name. I just love the name. And Mohawk Girls is 4 women, young Aboriginal women, trying to figure out what it means to be a modern Aboriginal woman today. And they live on the res, and they're navigating love, relationships, careers, goals, belonging. Basically all the themes I've dealt with for 10 years in my documentaries, I've now pushed into a fiction format, because I think there are a bunch of people who will never go see a documentary, and I think there's a lot of people that would only watch sort of traditional television. So I want to get at their minds too. So that's that project. We just shot it, and we're in post-production now, and it airs in 2014 on the Aboriginal People's Television Network and Omni. Today, it's a scarier landscape for documentary filmmaking. When I first started 10 years ago, Canada, it was booming, Canada they were really supportive of documentary filmmaking, of sort of Canadian stories. And budget cuts, documentary is no longer as favored, I find, as it once was. So it's a much tougher time to be a documentary filmmaker. That's absolutely for certain. And I mean, what's tough is we're a small community of filmmakers, and we're all extremely supportive of one another. What's really tough is we're also all competing against one another for these opportunities that are now dwindling. So it's a tough time right now. I really, really love and admire Cinema Politica and the people behind it. I think that what that organization is all about is passion. And, they are finding films of passion from around the world and sort of making them available to people. And, as a small independent filmmaker, you want your films to be seen. You want somebody to watch them. You hope that it impacts them. You hope that it opens their mind or their heart. But you can make a film and it can sit there. And the big challenge is getting somebody to see it. So Cinema Politica, is a gift to independent filmmakers because, they're getting it out to people who care about this stuff. So that's extremely important and very exciting. I think the main intersection between art and politics is that, artists and art itself has a huge responsibility to keep politics honest. And that's a big task. I'm really proud to be, part of that group that has this task. And we all focus on our various passion points. But, it comes down to freedom of speech and keeping those in power accountable. I think that's for me, that's how art and politics intersect.